How are we doing? It's Real Gunslingers, and today I'm just going to be answering one of the most commonly asked questions for people who are thinking about getting into boxing or MMA or any other martial arts. So, one of the most commonly asked questions is your family or friends ever worried that you're going to get hurt or seriously injured? Now, to be quite frank, when I first started martial arts, I started off as a boxer when I was 19 years old. I was a small kid, so I wanted to get the edge on some of the bigger guys that were picking on me and learn how to box. And one of the first things that people started to worry about was actually my physical and mental health. I would come home from training on Friday nights or Wednesday nights when we did sparring at the boxing gym with maybe 2 months experience, 3 months experience. A lot of times I would come home with black eyes and cuts and bruises on my face, and my mom would ask me, hey, like, are you sure you should be like training like this? You're gonna get hurt. And I just kept pushing, honestly. And I think that is what everybody should do when they get into a martial art. um, just keep pushing through. Now, one thing I will say is definitely find the right coaching. That's very important. It's very important that you find a coach that will not let you get hurt. I know I said I came home with black eyes. That's probably because I was sparring a little bit harder than I should have been with people that I shouldn't have been sparring with. And that's another topic that I'll get into another time because that opens up a whole other can of worms. But a lot of people were worried that I would get hurt. My mom, my coworkers. I remember I would show up to work at the barber shop. Like I said, I was 19. I was just starting at the barbershop too. Maybe like a year in the barbershop, and people were asking me like, hey, yo, like, I don't think this sport is for you, man. I don't think this is something you should be doing. You're a little like, they almost wanted to tell me that I was a little too soft. And maybe at the time it seemed like it, but I was always willing to push through the hard times that got me to where I am today. But a lot of people were trying to convince me that I should not do it. A lot of people, man. And that's something that never stopped me, and that's something that should never stop you, especially if you're interested in learning how to defend yourself and if you're interested in learning how to box. It's one of the best things, and it changed my life for the better. It made me more disciplined. It made me stronger. It made me have the will to fight. It made me have the will to compete, and it made me have the will to keep pushing and keep training and keep getting better every single day. So to anybody out here who's struggling with maybe the idea of getting hurt, getting injured, number one, it's all a part of life. I don't think that you're going to walk through life without ever having getting hurt or injured. You might speed up that process by taking a shit ton of brain damage and maybe sparring people that you shouldn't, people who are much bigger than you, much more aggressive, that don't know how to hold back their power. Those are people that you shouldn't be sparring with. But for the most part, it's all about being smart in your training and picking and choosing carefully who you're sparring with and who you're training with and who your coaches are, and picking your fights wisely. I only had 2 amateur boxing fights to this day and 1 fight on Street Beefs, if you've ever heard of that, which is kind of like an amateur fight. So technically 3 boxing amateur fights and a couple grappling matches. And I'm still training today, and I plan on fighting in the future, and I hope you do too. All right, I accidentally turned off the camera there for a second, but get out there and get started, man. And a quick little story before I go. I'm going to call this guy Mark. His name wasn't Mark, but we'll call him Mark. Mark came to show up for boxing sparring, and he was training for probably like 3 or 4 months. He was getting better. I really liked the guy, and one time I was sparring with him, and I gave him a bloody nose, and his nose got a little swollen, and he never showed up to class again. He never showed up to one more class ever again. And when I asked my coach, hey, like, what happened to Mark, man? He said, hey, I heard he's getting married soon, and his wife basically told him, like, you're not doing that boxing stuff, man. I don't want you to look all fucked up during our wedding day. I want your face to be pretty. So that might be one thing that you consider. And to be honest, I don't think this is the sport for you if you're worried about your face or what it could look like at the end of training, but or a fight. However, with that, I say get out there, join a gym, try it out for yourself, and if you want more content like this, then like, comment, and subscribe, and definitely share this with everybody that you know. Peace.